In my opinion, jiu-jitsu isn't all that dangerous. What I do consider dangerous is lack of jiu-jitsu, lack of understanding of how to keep yourself and your training partners safe. The way I view jiu-jitsu is that it's my responsibility to protect myself, and I don't roll under the assumption that my partner will protect me, but I also view my partner's safety as my responsibility, and roll under the assumption that they won't take care of themselves. If everyone had this mentality, there would be way less injuries in the sport. Being reckless with your own body is one thing, but being reckless with someone else's body is completely unacceptable.
There's a chance that I will have an injury which will probably affect my knee for the rest of my life.
That was my friend Rokas. He had his leg broken and knee ligaments ripped apart while training jiu-jitsu. A reckless training partner attempted a scissor takedown on him, the most dangerous takedown in grappling. Scissor takedowns are banned in most tournaments and in many grappling martial arts in general, but either this guy didn't know or he didn't care. So I decided to put this video together to teach as many people as I can how to train safely. But before we start, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Element. Does it feel like your recovery isn't on point? You're training hard, sleeping well, and eating nutritious food, but your muscles still cramp during training and you feel much more fatigued than you should be. Well, chances are that you're electrolyte deficient, because when you sweat, you lose a lot of electrolytes, especially sodium. And when you don't replenish them properly, that's when your recovery and performance tend to suffer. Which is why I drink Element, the tastiest electrolyte drink ever. Element provides science-infused hydration for everyone through their research-backed ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And ever since I started drinking it every day, my ability to perform has improved substantially. So if you want to make sure your recovery is on point, then Element is the right choice. And right now, they're offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/JordanTeaches. This deal is only available through my link. That's drinkLMNT.com/JordanTeaches. Scissor takedown. Let's start off with what did the damage to my friend Rokas. A poorly performed scissor takedown, uncontrolled falling body weight.
The number one cause of catastrophic injury in the sport of jiu-jitsu is uncontrolled falling body weight.
A scissor takedown can be performed without hurting your opponent, but it's a huge risk and it's not worth the risk. Watch out here, Gary Tonin does execute this without hurting his opponent, but even the ref is cringing because anyone who's been grappling for a while knows how catastrophic a scissor takedown can be if it goes wrong. Close your eyes if you don't want to see an example. You can open your eyes now. Even though scissor takedowns should be avoided entirely, as they're always risky, I think it is important to go over what increases the risk when attacking with them. If your opponent's leg is close to you, you'll have an easier time getting your leg behind their knee. But when their leg is far from you, there's no way you're going to be able to get your leg there safely. Another thing that helps is posting your hand out on the mat. It'll help control your body weight. Let's break down these clips, but I won't show you the injuries. His opponent does try to post his hand on the mat, but it slips, and all of his body weight falls on Tyler's leg. In this clip, the guy is relatively staggered, but his opponent is pretty far away from him. The guy moves his leg back, and there's zero chance of an injury not happening now. Even if they did have good intentions and knowledge of how to perform it safely, it should be clear how quickly things can go wrong, making the attempt not worth the risk. Now, let's look at how to avoid the scissor takedown. Step 1. Don't roll with assholes. Step 2. If you have a single, don't stop moving. Staying stationary with a single is just giving your opponent time to think of what to do to counter. Don't hang out there, take them down. Step 3. Using your forehead as a frame is a useful tool to keep your opponent away from you. It's also something Joe Briza and I covered in our Wrestling for Jiu-Jitsu course, so check that out to improve your wrestling. Jumping close guard. Jumping close guard is incredibly dangerous as it's falling uncontrolled body weight, just like the scissor takedown. If your foot is underneath your knee and able to support the weight, then the risk is pretty low. But if your foot is in front of your knee, now you risk it being hyperextended. Just never jump close guard. If you want to pull guard, then that's fine, because your body weight is hitting the mat, not your opponent. Forcing takedowns with the foot planted. With any takedown, you need to take their feet off the mat. If their foot is stuck on the mat and you force their body to the ground anyways, then you're going to severely injure them. Here you can see that all my partner's weight is on that leg. There's zero chance he can move his right foot to keep his leg safe. But when I take his feet off the mat, the takedown is now safe. And look how I also let go of my training partner. I try my best not to let my weight fall on him. That's also something that you can do to take care of your training partners. pulling back from turtle. I see kids do this all the time at tournaments, and usually nothing goes wrong as they have the flexibility for it. But with most adults, pulling them back from turtle places a lot of weight on their ankles and can lead to injury. Going to the side is not only safer, but it's also more effective. So do whatever you need to do to attack from turtle other than potentially hurting your partner. Head spike. With techniques where you flip your opponent over their head, you need to make sure that they do a full flip and there's enough space and time for them to tuck their head. Anytime I find myself in a position where my partner might post their head out dangerously, I'll move their head for them to ensure their safety. One position I want to highlight is when you have your opponent's back in turtle or the quad pod. If they quickly drive forward, you risk hitting your head. Even worse is if they go for a front roll and you're not able to tuck your head in time. That's why here, even though the guy I'm rolling with is a great and safe training partner, I didn't want to risk anything unexpected, and I moved my head as a precaution so I can stay safe. Head posting in the wrong direction. With my head pointing to my left, if my partner were to really force the back take to his left, then it could do a lot of damage to my neck. Rather than keep my neck in a vulnerable position, all I have to do is turn my head to keep it safe, so I can safely roll over my shoulder. The difference between a safe back take like this and a dangerous one is simply which direction the head is pointing. I wouldn't go for it if his head was pointed the other way. Overstacking. There's a difference between stacking and overstacking. Stacking puts weight on the shoulders, and it's fine. But overstacking directs weight to the neck. It goes past the point of a regular stack and it's dangerous. When I mention the danger of overstacking, I sometimes get comments that I'm attempting to water down jiu-jitsu. But if someone does this to me, I won't be able to turn my head for a couple days. A regular stack works just fine, and there's no need to cause injury to the neck in training. Cranking submissions. All submissions should be applied slowly. You can break defensive grips fast, no problem, but when a submission is fully locked in, you don't need to finish fast. If you can't finish slow, then your control sucks and you need to work on it. Sometimes I'll roll with someone really stubborn and I'll slowly apply pressure, but they won't tap. I'll just let go, who cares? Cranking submissions in the gym is never acceptable, and if your gym is cool with that, then the culture sucks and you should find a new gym. Slamming. This doesn't happen often, as most people have enough common sense to know how dangerous it is. Strikes aren't allowed in jiu-jitsu, and slamming is basically like a strike, except you're using the ground to strike them. So just never slam in the gym. Only slam in tournaments where it's allowed, but in most tournaments it's not allowed. Posting your hand on the mat when taken down. As a rule of thumb for beginners, just don't do this. Here, I wasn't expecting my partner to do this, and immediately I moved out of the way. Luckily, he was 100% okay, but it could have been bad. As you get more experience, you kind of learn when you can and can't post your hand out safely. So it's not always wrong, it's just usually wrong. Knee torque from the knee shield. I mostly just see beginners do this because they don't realize that they're basically heel hooking their partner, and often beginners getting it done to them don't realize that they're basically being heel hooked. There's much more effective ways of passing the knee shield, so just don't do this. Spinning out of leg locks. Spinning out of leg locks can be a great way to escape, if you can do so safely. You should only spin if your hips can move with the rest of your body. If your hips are locked in place and you try to force the spin, you can really hurt your knee. This mostly happens to beginners, as more experienced grapplers know when they can and can't spin. Conclusion. Make sure you train at a gym that prioritizes safety. Safety should always be number one. Although many of these injuries can be catastrophic and dangerous, I wouldn't let it deter you from training jiu-jitsu. Catastrophic injuries are relatively rare. Injuries happen in every sport, whether it's running, weightlifting, soccer, football, etc. If you use your body, you risk damage to your body. If you don't use your body, you also risk damage to your body. So keep training, keep having fun, and be a good training partner. And make sure to pick up my Jiu-Jitsu theory course to level up your Jiu-Jitsu.